Brodes Media.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Real quickly, you can utilize the SeatGeek promo code BRODES at checkout and get $20 off of your ticket. So the Sixers are ready to get going here in the next week. The Flyers start on Friday. Eagles tickets, of course. It is a no-brainer to utilize SeatGeek code BRODES at checkout. And if you're new to the channel, smash that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button as well. I greatly appreciate it. And that's it. That's all I want to tell you before we hop into it. So thank you all so much and enjoy the show. What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. I'm a bit defeated right now, I'm not going to lie. It's very disappointing that we are here, and it just makes no sense. The team has no idea what Ben Simmons wants to do. You can hear that in the message from Doc Rivers where he says, I'm assuming he's going to play, but who knows? I can't get into his head. Seth Curry had some comments as well about focusing on what he can control, basically going out there, working hard, talking from Seth Curry's perspective, of course. And then he said, you'll know where Ben Simmons' head is at once you get on the floor. So when you look at his work ethic, when you look at his determination, when you look at his approach, that's basically going to tell you everything that you need to know. And when you hear that a few days ago, Rich Paul and the agency is speaking with the 76ers nonstop for hours, for literally days, trying to figure out, okay, what's the next step getting him back into Philadelphia? He shows up and Elton Brand gets a text message that he's outside after Ben Simmons already put his houses and all sorts of places that he lives in the area up for sale. So it's pretty damn clear what his approach is. I want to stop getting fined. You're hurting my pockets too much. I'm going to show up. And it's very possible that he's playing the card of, I hope you're bluffing. He wants to see if the Sixers are bluffing by saying, okay, you showed up, fine, we'll pay you. We want nothing to do with you because you don't want anything to do with us. I do wonder if there's a little bit of cat and mouse game happening from Ben Simmons' mindset. And I also wonder, is he even going down the path that Rich Paul wants him to go down? We've already talked about this previously. I wonder if Rich Paul, speaking with LeBron, speaking with AD, speaking with other clutch clients, going, yo, Ben Simmons is nuts. Ben Simmons is a joke. I want nothing to do with the way he's handling this, but I also have to protect my brand. So the next core group of big-time players that do want to work with me, look what I did for Ben Simmons, and trust me, that was not easy. So he's trying to defend what he's all about for future clients to work with. I just wonder, what is Ben Simmons doing right now? I don't feel like getting hit hard with my money. I don't feel like getting fined. I'll show up. They'll hate that I'm there, and they'll kick me back out to Los Angeles. See, I said prior to all this starting and before training camp, if I was Daryl Morey, I would look to move on from him because I don't want the distraction. I thought early on everybody answered the right questions, everybody answered it the right way, but now it's only intensified to the super ugly level. Early we got Joel Embiid's message, and he was basically saying he was hurt. I mean, let's be realistic. Let's not forget the timeline here that Ben Simmons has blamed all of these players. Ben Simmons has blamed all of his teammates. He's saying that, well, they don't work around my style, Joel Embiid, when in theory, Joel Embiid has significantly changed the way that he could play because of the lack of spacing by Ben. And before I hear the comments that Ben should just take the ball out of his hands and everything would be just fine, let me know what good legitimate four is in today's era of basketball that doesn't stretch the floor. What's he going to do? And by the way, you have a center, a team that is surrounded by an MVP center. It's not realistic. It's actually dumb to think that that's the case. What really needs to happen is he needs to just stop not shooting the basketball. All of this relies, or all of this goes back to, it dates right back to the simple answer of, if he was just a normal basketball player that was willing to work on his craft, we would be in a totally different situation right now. I saw on TikTok the other day, this kid was basically baseline there courtside watching LeBron James warm up, and he was going through basic shots, basic turnaround jumpers, and he missed, and he was very upset. You could see how disgusted LeBron James was in himself. Ben Simmons does not have that drive. He does not have that preparation. He does not have that thought process of, let me perfect the craft. Even the things that he's good at. The greats, they just work on everything. And it starts from your deficiencies, and then you make your deficiencies just below average, and then you make them average, and then if you're lucky enough, you can make them above average, and you just keep continuing to climb. But once you get really good in areas, you work on that as well. He's not even working on deficiencies. I mean, we know it, right? I don't have to sell you the story of Ben and what his problem is, but he threw all these guys under the bus. He threw his head coach under the bus. He threw this organization, the fan base, everyone. And he's not going to apologize. Danny Green's okay if he doesn't say anything. Let's take basketball out of this. Let's take the fact that X's and O's strategy, we're talking about a basketball team. How about socializing or being a citizen in the world today, being a human being, being a human being in society? I made a mistake. I hated the way I handled it. I handled it the wrong way. Even if it doesn't mean that. Lie, right? I mean, lie. I'll actually take that over nothing at all. Believe it or not. I know that might sound silly, might sound stupid. Just say how you feel. But this has been such a mess. Just to get back on the right path here and worry about basketball, if that's your true intentions, which it's obvious that it's not. But I would take that. Even if you stood up to the media and said, I didn't like the way I handled it. I look in the mirror and I'm upset with myself. See, the problem is I don't know how he feels. I'm giving you the answer of what he should feel, how normal people would feel, how a standard individual who lives today would feel after going through what he went through because of himself. He put himself in those positions, but that would be the right way to feel. He'd probably be lying if he said it, but you got to come out in front of this. You just show up one day without anything after a debacle happened. It's called communication. It's in every single business. When bad things happen, you talk about it. You talk about it. You know, obviously, what I would really want to happen is him to sit around and then be honest. This is why I feel the way that I do, and then they could talk it out about that. They could talk about that. But no. You know, here we are today. It's clear that it's financial reasons. You tell your teammates to screw off. Don't visit me. Don't come see me in L.A. I don't want to hear from you. And then you show up to work with a basketball. It'll be very interesting to see how the Sixers play this out. You know, I wonder if Ben really thought that they would just ship him back out of town. And now you're playing a little bit of hardball if you're Daryl Morey. You just think to yourself, hey, we'll play him. He won't play what he wants to play, but we'll play him. He'll be coming off the bench. They have the leverage right now. But when you ask the question, who won, I do think that that's getting taken out of context a bit. Who won? Nobody won. The Sixers are still with Ben. The Sixers are still with the problem right now. The Sixers are getting bombarded by all the national media, the entire sports world, everybody involved. So they're not winning. They have a clear monster head case sitting on their bench or being in their facility if he even shows up to do any of his work. Apparently he did do some work at St. Joe's today instead of going to the Sixers facility and going there. It's a major joke that we're sitting here today. It really is. Here's what bothers me, though, about what some of the comments were today. Here's Doc Rivers. I know what we want to do. It would be different if this was the first year and didn't know how to use him. Danny Green also mentioned about what he knows this team could be with Ben Simmons off the floor compared to on the floor. I mean, it almost sounds, and maybe it's just garbage. Maybe they're just spewing nonsense to the media, and they were coached up on how they want the organization to respond, to play that I'm going to scare the living hell out of you type of mentality to Ben Simmons when he hears this type of talk, because he clearly doesn't want to play the sport of basketball with the 76ers ever again. It sounds like, oh, yeah, we'll just plug him right back into it. As if there's no accountability at all for his actions. There's nothing. You can just treat everyone like shit. You can just treat this entire city, this fan base, this franchise, the team, everyone. You could just treat them like utter garbage and spit in their mouths and smack them in the face, and they do nothing about it. Go ahead, Ben. You can do whatever you like. No, I don't want anything to do with this guy. I really don't. During Coffee with Brodes, it's been a hot discussion, obviously, over the last couple of days, and people are bringing up all these crazy scenarios. I said if he publicly came out to the media and basically mentioned what I said earlier of I'm unhappy with myself, I don't like the way I handled it, I want to play basketball. We were one game away from the Eastern Conference Finals twice since I've been here. I know what it's like to play with Joel Embiid. Of course, we nitpick and say, well, then why did you mention that Joel Embiid limits you? Why did you mention all these crazy things before training camp began or during training camp as well? Of course, we would still continue to backlash and have backlash on him. But going back to Doc Rivers, though, I do find it pretty fascinating that there's quotes being thrown around in that Bleacher Report article that recently dropped that Doc Rivers was throwing an F-bomb around and he was pretty upset with what was happening. It's in your fucking contract. He went F-bomb. It's in your fucking contract. And I don't know, does that relate to what we heard when Ben Simmons said he didn't like the way that Doc Rivers treated him? To the media, it was always, hey, the media is stupid. The fan base doesn't know about the sport of basketball. You're uneducated if you don't see what Ben Simmons does. And I truly believe that Doc Rivers felt that way. That felt very genuine. It felt very passionate when he was supporting Ben. But it's pretty crazy at the same time that we're hearing now reports that he was possibly hard on Ben and he was getting on Ben. And I don't know, two totally different personalities. I don't know. I find it very, very strange because of how obnoxiously soft the approach was to Ben and how they played Ben Simmons at the same time. They literally played Ben saying, I don't care what you do as long as we score a lot of points as a team. As long as we have offensive efficiency that ranks at the top of the league, it doesn't matter to me. So the style of play that they believed in Ben Simmons doing this past season really does support the style and the approach of Doc Rivers and how he basically broke down what he was witnessing each game on the floor. So it really is fascinating to hear about this behind-the-scenes stuff. Maybe it's a bit fabricated. Maybe it's a little more aggressive than it actually was. Who knows? Doc Rivers does seem to have a handle on things in terms of having respect of the players, having an understanding, and there's no way that he just decided to pick on Ben Simmons way more than anybody else behind the scenes. It could just come down to Ben can't take any sort of criticism whatsoever. He can't handle any sort of tough love. Wasn't he the one who said years ago that I need to be held accountable? I mean, I remember diving through, we all said, yeah, no shit. No, I mean, we can see that pretty damn clear here as a fan base. So when you do, that's when you're going to push back. If that is the case, of course, if Doc did ream him a bit more than it seemed to be from the public perception. How do you look your teammates in the eyes? And if you're the teammates, how do you look them in the eyes? And I know I'm big on when you hit the professional level, it's not the same as college athletics, U16, U18, any sort of travel experience, AAU, or anything along those lines. When you're a professional, you show up to work and you ball out. But at the same time, there's a level that can go in the wrong direction where you just cross the line, right? The needle moves way too far past a certain degree, and then you're just absolutely crushed. And it's clear that this has been taken to a new level. There's plenty of locker rooms where nobody's on this. Well, hold on a second. If you're a good team, you're on the same page, but there might be a couple people that just do their own thing. They're a little bit quieter. They're off to the side. You got family. You got kids. You don't have the time to hang out with one another like you would think it would be like when you're 21 years old playing in the NBA, playing in professional sports. So it's definitely different. It's a unique atmosphere. You show up to work and you ball out, right? But yeah, there's got to be some level of love. There's got to be some level of brotherhood at the same time. And before you throw Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal at me, sure, you're talking about the 0.01% of people? Yeah, how about we play the percentage game here? And guess what? We're not talking about an athlete wired like Kobe Bryant and Shaq. Unfortunately, one is, which is Joel Embiid. The reason why we are upset as we are is because the other one is nowhere even close. Quite frankly, he's the exact extreme opposite version of what Kobe Bryant brought to the table. I could never imagine in a million years listening to Kobe tell me advice and then just walk away and not even really appreciate what was stated. I heard Brian Dawkins speak today because it's his birthday, so he's all over the Twitter sphere, and he was talking in some sort of video that was thrown out there. I believe it was Rob Motti who was doing some stuff for his Faith on the Field podcast, and just listening to the tone of Brian Dawkins, just listening to his voice. You listen to him speak, and you're just in full 1,000% attention mode. You don't think of anything else. You're worried about taxes. You're worried about your car payment. You're worried about anything. You're not when he's speaking to you. The message is unbelievable. What type of human being does not appreciate Kobe Bryant talking about what needs to change in his game. And I go back to saying, well, first, let me finish this part of it. How do you, as a teammate, look him in the eyes afterward and say, we'll take you back? So I was saying how normally I'm big on the whole professional athlete side. It's a different type of beast. But once you get to this level, it really isn't. You know, this has destroyed you. You've been called out. He absolutely publicly destroyed you as a team. I can't believe the way they play. It hurts me as a player with my skill set. Come on, dude. That's a slap in the face. If you're to, really, I'm a stretch 4. Really, with the way we played, we were number 1 in the Eastern Conference. Not that I fully believe in playoff basketball and regular season basketball meaning the same thing, because it's pretty damn clear that it does not in my eyes. But that doesn't change the fact that you guys did generate a lot of success in the regular season action. It just didn't work at all. It didn't work at all. There was nothing to it. It really annihilated. The fact that you just won't shoot a basketball isn't the problem in the half-court sets. It's the fact that there's a center out there. Please. Like, you're acting as if you had the last place efficiency in the entire league. So I'm not big on regular season action correlating to postseason. It doesn't. I understand that. But he's acting as if there was like zero success. So, no, you were underneath the basket, fine. You had a matchup of Trae Young underneath the basket one-on-one. The matchup was there. It's about the execution at that point, my friend. And it goes way farther from that. So before anybody throws this my way, well, Brodes, what if he comes back shooting a jumper? Really? What if he comes back? What are we doing here? Talking fantasies? Talking la-la land as if Ben Simmons is magically going to snap his fingers and we're going to have a dude who's willing to shoot threes nonstop and he doesn't actually have to shoot threes. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. It's not, well, if he shoots 70% from the free. No, that's an embarrassing let him off the hook answer. Why is everybody else so held accountable? Tyrese Maxey, you're so easily willing to talk about Tyrese Maxey's deficiencies and his approach and taking the hardball method with Tyrese Maxey. Then it's like, oh, boy, he doesn't really need to work on his game. All he has to do is get better at free throws because that will activate his aggressiveness. Can we stop beating around the bush? Can we stop being foolish and pretending like it's not clear as day? It is right there, written in stone, what needs to happen with this individual to take the next step and for him to be a talented basketball player in this league. It really doesn't need that much dissection. We don't need a doctor here to play operation. Okay, we're talking about a point guard. I hate it. I can't say it. Makes me throw up, me even just saying those words, because I feel that sentence, we're talking about a point guard who needs to shoot. We're talking about a basketball player who needs to shoot. I'm stressed out over it. I'm bothered by it, and it's been so damn long that it's really beating me down to the point where, this news has been ongoing now for a handful of days, and other than Coffee with Brodes, I just haven't felt that push, that energy, like that good, fun vibe over the last couple of days to be talking about this. Now, it's such a big news story. It's so massive, and clearly I'm passionate about it, and I'm frustrated. So I always planned on discussing. I'm just saying, this is something you could talk about for 4 days in a row. I'm just beaten down by. I'm tired by. I'm fatigued by. We've done it a way too many times. We've done it an embarrassing amount of times. Yet now, of course, it's picking up in intensity because of where we are in the season. Friday, what happens against the Pistons? What happens against the New Orleans Pelicans game 1? Is he just, after all of this, going to get the nod and be your starting point guard? Could you imagine if that was the case? Now, Keith Pompey was on 97.5 The Fanatic today talking to Mikey Miss, and just to throw some quotes your way, just some of the things, and Keith is one of the best in the business. For sure. I just want to get the exact quotes so we can go through them. But basically, when asked about if he believes that Ben Simmons will play for the 76ers again, he says, no, I don't think so. And then he was also talking about, you can tell that the Sixers really don't know what he's going to do. So still, he's trying to play tough. He's trying to grab the organization by the testicles when in reality, I think it's going to backfire big on him. But that doesn't mean the Sixers win. I'm sorry, this is not the Sixers winning. This debacle, Joel Embiid making statements, the media pounding the players nonstop every day about it, deservingly so, by the way. That's their job. This cannot be pointed towards the media members. If so, Ben Simmons is getting off scot-free again because he wants you to point in another direction. No. This is the right way to handle this. This is your job. You have to get the answers on the feel, the pulse of the team right now. And the Sixers are not winning this. They are in a better spot than Ben Simmons, but Ben Simmons is in such a terrible spot that being in a not-so-terrible spot as Ben Simmons is not a very high bar for my liking. You need change. Malcolm Brogdon, Karis LeVert. Daryl Morey keeps talking about waiting for the right compensation. I get that, and I would be willing to play a little bit longer now that you're even in this position. Me, personally, I would have done it a long time ago, so we entered the season with a fresh mind, a fresh approach, because I think you're doing it a disservice for your players now to keep this along. At the same time, though, when you have a player of this value, and yes, he still does have some value to get you something in return, you can't just throw that in the trash and pretend. Like, you got one shot at this thing, right? There's one swing at this. You get that pitch, you better make the most of that pitch, and this could be the difference in setting your franchise up for some serious success or heading in the wrong direction and having a major problem and having to retool in a way different way than you would have if you made the right trade. So I get it. There's a lot of pressure on this one specific move if you're the Sixers. So at this point, now that you're here, wait until a team needs something. Wait until a team realizes they're not as good as they need to be. Waiting for, I don't know, just the right call to come about. What if Portland struggles? And I'm not talking Dame, but maybe the whole CJ thing opens back up. I don't know. Who knows what is going to be it. But I know it's not Kyrie Irving. If anybody mentions Kyrie Irving to me, please, come on. I'd rather deal with this headache than anything Kyrie Irving is throwing out there. Ben Simmons looks like a star with the way he's handled things compared to Kyrie. I don't care about individual talent. I'd rather take at that point, because of the circumstances we're talking about, I'd rather talk about players who are nearly not at the same level of talent as Kyrie, but bought in, willing to compete. Two players, Brogdon, Karis LeVert. Those style of players that are clearly willing to give everything they have, maximize their potential, compared to some dude who's willing to just be a part-time employee during the NBA season. I mean, really, dude? What a joke he is. I'll tell you what's not a joke. DraftKings Sportsbook. Another week of the NFL season means another shot at winning big at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers can bet just $1 on any NFL game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a point. The last 0-0 tie in the NFL was in 1943. So I'd say this is a no-brainer. DraftKings customers can also get skin in the game with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Brodes. Bet just $1 on any NFL game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a point. That's promo code Brodes this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. So I'm honestly not going to keep you much longer on this. I feel like I've ranted and I've lost so much of my life and I've lost so much of who I am as a person because I've expressed so much damn emotions towards this ridiculous concept that we're talking about now. And the problem is, I know it's not going anywhere. It's just hard for me, as I summarize here. It's hard for me as a human being to just be so unaccepting of having an issue, having a flaw, having a problem. It's okay. And I'm talking about specifically his approach with basketball. Nobody's perfect, and it's totally okay to make a mistake. It's the way that he handled everything. Think about at the end of the season, if he just basically stated this, I did not do well enough tonight. Instead of, did you see Trae Young? The defensive mechanisms are so outrageous. Did you see Trae Young's stat line? Did you see my assists? I am what I am. Like, that is just such a brutal way to sell yourself. Ben, you're better than this, and it's okay to say that I'm going to have to work to be better than this, but I'm better than this. There's just nothing wrong with that. So I feel he seems so lost in that area as if that's not acceptable. It is. You are not a perfect product. But you you have to admit that so you can recognize it and then apply that to your work and apply that to your offseason. I'm not perfect at what I do. My parents in their jobs still have to work every day to be the best version they could be. You listening out there in your current job, and like everyone is not 100% insanely perfect at every little thing that you do in life, and that's okay. But your tone about it tells me everything about you. And as a human, how is that lost? Is it, and I can't tell someone how to teach their kids and how to be a parent, but it clearly stems back to who he's surrounded by, how he was brought up and how he was raised. And once you realize that this is our million dollar person in the family, no one wants to step on their toes. But if I'm a parent, you gotta tell, you're not doing this the right way. There's right and wrong ways to do things, and this is not it. And then, okay, so now we are here in this predicament. How do you handle this? Tells me a lot about you. All right, well, if I'm his father, if I'm someone, screw it. I'm not telling you how to teach somebody how to grow up. I'm not parenting somebody. But let's say I'm someone super close to Ben. Ben, man, look, I know this might not be ideal. I know this isn't what you want to do, but just think about this. Sleep on it, sleep on this tonight. Go back to your teammates. Sit them down. Hell, I wouldn't even be opposed to a team meeting and then one-on-ones. And I know that sounds great. What? You're having one-on-one? Just be like, man, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I did not handle it properly. That is not what I would do again if I had a second opportunity. But I'll learn from it. I promise. I needed this to grow up. I needed this as a big teaching moment in my life that I will never forget. When I'm 40, 50, 55, I'll date back to this experience, and it will change the trajectory of who I am. I needed this as a wake-up call because I was stuck in a certain way. I was stuck in a certain mindset, and I don't want that to be me. I can't wait to go to work with you all. I love you like a brother. I love you like family, and let's move forward. And then from there, you take it from there. Some people will accept it, some people won't, depending on how genuine it feels to each person. But I guess I'm very lost with the mentality of I can't get better. Just say it. Yeah, I'm not as good as I need to be in certain areas. And tonight, while I thought I defended Trae Young well and I did some other things well, there was a clear glaring hole that has to be worked on. And I acknowledge that. Then we don't even talk about this. But he really did flip the double bird. We had fun during the Phillies playoff hopes, and of course I'm using air quotes, all year long, and we had flip Brodes the double bird. Ben Simmons flipped the city the double bird. And step one is acknowledging that and apologizing, and that's where it begins with me. I need that big time, and I know it's not going to happen whatsoever, but that's what I would need to kind of set things right instead of just showing up and acting as if nothing was wrong, acting as if there's no problem. Well, then we're not getting the solution that we're looking for. Ben being here and playing basketball with this type of toxic environment is not getting the result we're looking for. And that's why I go back to, I don't think anybody really won. The Sixers didn't win. They're still going through this. They might by the end. I'm just saying right now, just because Ben Simmons showed his face, that's not truly getting the end result that we really need to do or really need to get to take that next step and to compete the way we want to. And with that being said, we're going to end things here. I do need to tell you about my friends over at Orbit Energy and Power. With over 20 years of industry experience, Orbit Energy and Power is home to your solar experts in residential and commercial projects. Orbit also provides water purification systems, backup energy services, battery storage, electrical upgrades, new roofs, heating and cooling, and so much more. Make sure you check out their information at orbitenergy.us or call 800-836-3987. I want to thank everybody so much for listening to this episode of Sports Talk with Brodes, and I will see you next time.